Hi everyone, I'm Angela and welcome to Crafting with Angela. Today I'm going to make a quick Easter card using a decoupage kit. So I have this kit, I've had it in my stash for ages. If I can find it online, I'll link it in the description box below. But you can get lots of kits like these. And all they are is decoupage kits. So they come with the images. There's 8 different images, 3 sheets of each image. And when you open it up, what you get is a focal image and then different layers to put on top of it. If you put some foam tape behind that and lift it up, it gives you a lovely layered image. So I'm going to show you how to make one of them today. Like I said, there's lots of different images in here depending on what you want to do. I am going to use this image of the Easter eggs in almost an afternoon tea setting. That nice teacup. So we'll take that out. And what we want to do is just have a look. This is a really simple card to make. So all we want to do here is these are already cut, so you don't even need to do any of the cutting. You just want to pop out each of the layers. Just pop them all out. So that's layer 1. And we pop out layer 2. If we can get it all out. Okay. This one pops up, but it pops up out separately. At least it does if you can pull the image in the right spot. So I'm just going to take that bit off the bottom. So that's layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 is the top of the teddy and the images, layer 4 is his arm, and layer 5 are the a bit more of the eggs. You can also see along the side here we have some extras, and I'll show you what you can use them for later, but let me just continue popping out. Okay, so that's the 5 layers popped out. Like I said, we have an extra of the overall bunny, the overall bear, the arm, and the eggs. We'll keep them to the side at the minute. We don't need them at this stage, but it's always useful to have them. So this part is really simple and straightforward. What you want is something to pop them up with. So I have these pre-cut strips. They're really thin strips. If you don't have them, you can use the tiny squares like this. Just trying to find slightly bigger squares. You can get the strips, you can get the tape, just whatever you happen to have on hand can be used. Just trying to find my spice. There's some tape on a big roll. I'm not going to use the tape on the roll, but if you were, you could just open it up and cut it down, or these bigger pieces. I'm going to use these long thin strips, and I'll have some of these smaller squares in case we need them. So the easiest way to do this is to turn them over and just take a piece of your tape and pop it on the reverse of the image. And all you want to do here is make sure none of your tape's going over the edge. You can cut it to get it the right length if you want, or just do like I'm doing here, and that's just tear it off. It works just as well. I'm just going to tear this piece in half and put another bit along the bottom, just making sure that we've got as much support behind the different bits. As they get smaller pieces, you don't need to worry about this so much, but I just like to make sure that the first layer has as much support on it as possible. I just realized I've missed out a piece. Turn that off, which then has meant that this piece needs to move slightly to make sure it isn't being seen. And turn over this way and just make sure you're not seeing any of the tape from this angle. And then I'm just going to, oh, come in, push that piece, keep that piece for later, and take the backing off it all. Off, and then you just want to line this up with the image below it. I have one more piece here that I just need to throw on for the top. And that's the first layer on, and we're just now going to do exactly the same for all the other pieces. The only thing I would say is whether you use the strips, the squares, the tape, just make sure you use the same one on each of the layers to make sure you haven't got any change in dimension. So what I'll do is for the next layers, I'll use the strips and then I'll move over to the smaller squares. So I'll fast forward through this bit just so you can see how it all comes together. Okay, so that's all the layers. I'm just putting the last layer on here just to double check. These are all the small eggs. All you want to do is make sure that they're in the right place. And there's two of these smaller pink eggs, so I'm just double checking the pattern that's on the pink egg before I put it down to make sure I'm putting it down in the right place. And there we go, that is the image completed. So what you can see now is that is image. When you lift it up, you can definitely see the dimension behind it, and that's going to go in the front of my card. Now this is a really simple card. We could just put that in the front of a card and call it quits, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what I'm going to do now is just show you what I'm going to do to decorate this up a bit. So I have a 6x6 inch card base and craft card. I have cut a square of craft card that is just slightly smaller. It's about half an, no, it's just I think it's about 1/4 of an inch smaller, so you're getting 1/8 of an inch border the whole way round. Okay, I have marked it so I know which way is the top corner, and that's just because I always get this lost in case there's a slight difference in the way the card's folded or one dimension or the other. So I have that marked. I'm going to turn that over, and all I'm going to do now is decorate the front of this card. So this teddy bear with his eggs is going to sit in the front here, and I want to put something on the back that's going to give this a bit of dimension, a bit of colour, just a bit of interest. So I have two things. I have Distress Oxide in Pickled Raspberry. I like using the Distress Oxide to this because I think with craft card the oxide helps it stand out in the darker cardstock. And I also have my homemade texture paste that I made in the pink colour. There's a video for that, I'll link that as well. So I'm going to use that. I've got this lovely circles stencil that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use it all over, but I am going to use it in bits and pieces to put some colour on. So I'm going to go in with the Distress Oxide first of all. And all I'm going to do is stencil through, not everywhere, but I'm going to do that and move, oops, get that back in out of the way, move the stencil around. I'm just going to put it over the four corners. I'm just wanting this, the stencil isn't quite big enough to fit the entire space, so all I'm trying to do here is use it to create a border around the outside. Okay, doesn't have to be a big border or anything massive, just enough to give that bit of colour and make the background be less of a, what's the word I'm looking for, less hidden. Just make it stand out a bit more, and you can see that there's that on its own. If we were to put this in again, the pink colour is really bringing out the Easter egg feeling of it in the circles, just giving it a bit of interest. You could leave it at that, maybe put a bit of ink around the edges and that would be enough. I'm just going to go in and finish it off by using the texture paste to do exactly the same thing as I had done with the using the texture paste to do the same thing as I had done with the stencil. I'm just making sure that they don't quite line up. I don't mind a bit of an overlap. This is my homemade texture paste, so I just want to make sure that there's enough, you know, mix it, give it a mix in before I use it again, just to make sure it's all together. And I'm just trying to see in these corners that there isn't too much There's always one that doesn't want to play ball. You end up covering way more than you mean to. If you're wanting to do this at home and you're only wanting to cover a slight portion of the card, what you can do is tape the stencil down, and that'll then make sure that you don't end up with it in the wrong place. Now what I'm doing now, because this part is wet, I kind of am coming in at a slightly different angle here. Again, just putting small pieces over what we already have on here, scraping it off each time. There's a tiny one. Oh, no. And what I'm trying to do now is where the bits where I have left a bit of a mess, I'm just trying to go in and cover that up with a bit more of a circle mark so it looks like it was a deliberate choice. Please do try and, you know, if you want to tape your stencil down when you're doing this part to make life easier on yourself, please do. Do not do what I'm trying to do, make your life 10 times harder. Oh, there's a bit of a hurt in there. And the last one. Okay, there we go. And even though this is my homemade one and therefore really frugal to make, I'm still trying to scrape the most of it back off. Anything that I can scrape off and put back in my tub, I will. And then, as is really important, any stencils or tools that you are using with texture paste, whether it's homemade or your own, make sure you put them in water before they have a chance to dry. So I have a small tub over to the side that I have put the stencil and the palette knife in. All I'm going to do now is come in with my water in a spray bottle and try and wipe off. I think I need to get a better spray bottle. Wipe off any of the texture paste that's still on here, and any of the ink as well. Again, just about keeping this clean and not letting the texture paste dry on your mat. Okay. So I'm just going to let this dry over to the side, and I have my card base here. This card base is going to sit on top of it like this, with this then on top. I think it looks really good. What I do want to do, but I think that pink is really vibrant there, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not, but I think what I am going to do is just come in and lightly around the edges of this, come in and really lightly brush some pink over the edges to bring that colour in a bit more. You will see the difference here between the pink when it's on the white cardstock versus the kraft cardstock. I just don't like the harsh white lines on something like this. So that's why I come in and put that on. So we'll leave that background to dry. And we're just going to turn around now and try and stick back one of the layers that's come up. That was not supposed to happen. Okay. Leave those there. And I'm now going to come inside the card. Anyone who's watched any of my videos before when I make cards knows that I love putting something on the inside of the card that matches the exterior. I just think it adds an extra something, and that's where these extra pieces come in here. So this one here, if I peel it off, what it does give me is it gives me a really nice burr with the different Easter eggs. Now, you could technically peel off the top layer there, that is already pre-cut, but I don't think we need it, so I'm just going to take this and stick this down in the corner and then come in with my black marker and just draw a small line there. So let me just take my Burley Art glue and I'm just going to come in and put a very thin line around the edge of this. It's a lightweight cardstock, so it doesn't need to be tons of glue, just enough to hold it in place. Okay. And then that's going to go down there like that. Let me put the pin back in the glue, make sure it stays sealed. And let me get my fine mark, let me see. 0.5. You can never find the thin one when you want to. 0.1. So I have a very fine tip 0.1 marker here, and I'm just going to draw a line there, just to connect those two plates together so it doesn't look like they're hovering in space. That's all I'm going to do on the inside of the card. For the outside of the card, I don't think there's anything here that we really want to. Well, we could let's take that top layer off for the outside of the card. It's not an awful lot. But what I'm going to do now is come in. This card will be hand delivered, so I don't need to worry about decorating the outside of it. If you are going to send your card through the post, have a look at your local legislations around what can be on the outside. Because what you don't want to do is put something on the outside of your envelope that prevents your card being delivered. All I'm going to do here is come in with the picked raspberry and do a nice edge here. And I am going to stick those Easter eggs up where the stamp would go. Like I said, because I'm going to hand deliver this, I don't mind so much. I'm going to put these in where the stamp would go. Up in that top corner. So that's the envelope done. We have the inside of the card done, and all we need to do now is glue down. I'm not sure, well, this is pretty dry. Not quite dry enough to manhandle, but dry enough that we can put it down here. If you remember, I marked on the back which side was the top, and I'm going to use glue for this. I like Burley Art glue because it doesn't really cause the paper to crease or anything like that. It just holds it down really well and sticks remarkably quickly. Okay. But still gives you a bit of time to make sure you've lined everything up evenly. I want to press down here, but not too heavy because I don't want to ruin anything in case anything isn't quite dry yet. I think it is. If I wasn't on camera, I would be letting that dry a bit longer. And then this is going to go in the middle here. I don't think I'm going to put any foam tape on the back of this one. I could do, but I think I quite like it just sitting in the center there. I'm just going to glue this one. The lid back on the glue, and that's our card completed. Really quick and simple card with the decoupage on it. You could put a sentiment on here, you could handwrite a sentiment on the inside.